All right, guys, welcome. I would like to have a little conversation about the Leo full moon that's happening on the 28th of January 2021. It's happening at 1:12 p.m. Central Time. And it's happening at 9 Leo, and I'm not sure if I said that out loud or if I just said it in my head. So if I didn't, it's happening at 9 Leo. And of course, all full moons happen opposite the sun, right? And so the sun is at 9 Aquarius because that's how magic astrology works. But it's also opposite Jupiter this time because Jupiter happens to be conjunct the sun at this full moon. And so let's talk about what that means, right? So we've got the sun conjunct Jupiter. That's about will and ego and vitality, right? Your life force, your creativity, that beautiful inner child, that self, right? The you that you are, the you that you want to project, right? That grand you-ness, that is your Leo sun self. Thank you. And so Jupiter is about expansion, growth, how you amplify things, the way that we extend ourselves, the way that we turn up the volume, right? It's blessings. It's all sorts of fun and excitement, really, is Jupiter. And so to have Jupiter conjunct the sun is an amplification of your selfness, right? And in Aquarius, that's very interesting. Aquarius is that sign of the collective. And so as the sun is in Aquarius, we have all sorts of access to ideas and ideals, right? To the way we'd really like to see our group, club, society, friends functioning, right? And with Jupiter conjunct the sun, we have an opportunity to step into what we really believe is the best, right? The most utopian, right? And so the thing is, one of my very favorite astrologers on Facebook has been talking about the dystopia, right, that has been 2020. But Sun conjunct Jupiter is really about the utopian self. And in Aquarius, that is the collective self, right? And so this is really a moment where we can witness ourselves as part of something greater and really choose to create something greater, not just for ourselves, but for the collective. And since we have this Leo moon, right? Leo moon is about fierce feelings, right? It's about really diving into those feelings and creating from those feelings. I mean, you know, that's a beautiful thing. It's about wanting to really discuss and show our feelings. Now, this opposition, which in Eileen land is just an opportunity, right, is forming a T-square to Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus, right? And so we know that Mars is the way we put energy into the world. And we know that Uranus is that seismic shifting, that opportunity, right? It's Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. And so this is a complementary energy, right? This is a cornering kind of energy. And so we have the opportunity to really put our own spin on the way we move forward. And we have the opportunity to change that, right? Just because Uranus and Mars are in Taurus doesn't mean we're stuck with the way things have been. It means that we can choose to directly and purposefully and thoughtfully and with great care and caution choose to move in a new direction, right? Yes, you see, yes. And that's about making that choice, right? It's about choosing to allow our own sense of self and feelingness to be our directive for how we choose to change. Again, we've been talking at great length about how we are in a period of transition, right? We are in transition. This has been my song for several years now. And what I'm here to tell you is what we transition to is always, always up to you. Why, thank you. Always up to you. And here's why. Because you're the boss, right? We have the Leo axis with Aquarius. This is about self and collective self, right? And so what better time to choose to really dive into this opportunity we're given to help, support, create from this shift out of this Earth energy cycle for the last 250 years, right? We have our social planets making this big shift. So the way that we shape and form our society is a reflection, direct reflection of the way that we shape and form ourselves. So as we have Saturn and Jupiter in Aquarius, right? And we have Jupiter conjunct the sun at this full moon, which just happens to be on that Aquarius Leo axis. And it just happens to be square Uranus, the planet of change, the shift bringer in Taurus, right? As we roll out of this Earth energy, what do we bring with us? Mars wants to know. Mars wants to know, right? We have Chiron sextiling this Sun conjunct Jupiter in Aries, right? What are we willing to let go of, right? For our collective health, for our individual health, right? What are we willing to let go of? What new ways are we willing to forge our concept of health? Are we willing to allow it to change and shift? Well, we certainly can. Right? We can do that. We also, at this new moon, our full new moon, this full moon happened to have Venus conjunct Pluto. So this is about the power, Pluto, of love, right? Venus is about our 3D love, right? Our 3D selves. Anything you can experience through your 5 senses is the realm of Venus, right? Love, beauty, harmony, balance, these are all in the realm of Venus, right? Taurus is also ruled by Venus. And so we have Pluto and Venus in Capricorn, earth signs, right? Asking us pull up the last roots of these old ideas. Pull them up. Don't be afraid to get your hands around them and pull them up. Don't be afraid of the shift toward love. Don't be afraid of the shift toward ideas of utopia. Right? Don't be afraid of that shift. You know what you should be afraid of? Staying behind. Right? Sitting in what's been. Because guess what? After a while, that gets really uncomfortable. So with this full moon, perhaps embrace the new. Really embrace it. We have the Queen of Swords in the Tower. The Queen of Swords, right, is that ideas energy. She is the embodiment of the concepts, the ideas, the beliefs, right? Anything that you can imagine in your mind, she is the mistress of. She also has her beautiful sword of truth and clarity, and she is willing to cut out anything that is not in alignment with her embodiment of that truth. We have the Tower. The Tower is cataclysmic destruction, right? Down to the parts, as we talk about, right? Pull up those roots. Don't be afraid to pull up the roots on anything that's not working, especially at this full moon, y'all. Let it be destroyed. Uproot it, grab it with both hands, pull it out, look at it, evaluate it against your lion heart, and see what is serving you, what deserves to be put back in that foundation, and if it doesn't, allow the sword of truth to cut it out. You don't need it anymore, right? We're getting ready to go into Mercury retrograde. You're going to have 3 weeks to think about it anyway. Pull it up with both hands. See what happens. Anything that is keeping you stuck, anything that is keeping you sad or feeling lost or feeling out in the cold or feeling left behind or neglected or abandoned, right? We've got Chiron in Aries. How do you want to feel? What actions do you want to take in order to move forward, right? We're moving away from this energy, these pentacles, this earth, moving forward, right? Leo, full moon. Let the fire burn everything away that doesn't need to stay. And whatever's left, says Sherlock Holmes, is the truth, right? Is the truth. We have the Ace of Pentacles and the Seven of Pentacles. The Ace of Pentacles is that new idea, that new seed, that new possibility of all things earthy, right? Pentacles represent your resources, tangible and intangible. I say it all the time. It's never just about what you have in your pocket. It's never about what you have in your bank account. If you have a full, fat bank account and your pockets are dripping and your heart is empty, you've got exactly nothing. Exactly nothing. So, again, aces. What do we do with aces? We have to grasp an ace. We have to say thank you, and we have to put it into action, right? We have to put it into action. It's not enough to just have it. It's not enough to just know a thing. Sometimes you have to wait. Mercury retrograde is coming up. So you might have to grasp that seed, say thank you, and plant it. But you have to plant it. You can't just hold it in your hand. You can't just put it in the bank and trust that it's going to draw interest. Because guess what? It's not. You're going to have to plant it. And then you're going to have to wait and know what's coming. It might feel terrible. It might feel like disaster. But you have to wait. You got to be patient. You have to allow things to go their course, right? Right? When you cut everything away, there's only one thing left. Whatever's left is the truth. And the truth is always worth waiting for, right? But you have to know. You have to know. We've got the Eight of Pentacles and Death. The Eight of Pentacles, this popped up in our weekly What's Up last week. This is about practice, right? 7 pentacles plus 1 pentacles makes 8 pentacles. Death is the card of transformation. It's the card of shifting. And whether it's cataclysmic or chosen, right? whether it's trauma-based or love-led, whether it's divinely planted or you decide to plant it yourself, you still have to accept the fact that everything grows and changes. We are moving from one very long and heavily consequenced earth cycle of choices collectively and individually. We're moving into something new, and we're going to have to practice. We're not going to get it right away, right? But you can't give up the idea. You can't give up the reason you made those choices. You can't give up the feelings that led you to them, right? Making big changes is a real thing. It's a little scary. Sometimes it feels really scary. But as long as you are love-led and you're willing to devote yourself to that love, transformation always comes, right? The bloom always comes back. This is a cycle. We are in transition. You can choose to corner, or you can be cornered and roll off the rails. That is entirely up to you. Mercury retrograde is going to give us some time to think about things. So again, just get your alignment straight, right? Feel into it now in this Leo full moon. Fearless heart space, right? As it's balanced out with the biggest concept of yourself you can hold. And then allow that leverage of positive change for the better, right? Even though it's Taurus, even though it's a little slow, it might take a little bit. These add up to this, right? These add up to practice and change and shift. It all revolves back to itself. Chiron is helping. Chiron is saying, it's okay. You know how to heal these wounds. You know how to move forward from it. You already know. And if you have to let things unravel in order to knit them back together, you can. You can do that. That's a great choice. That's a great, great choice. Okay. That makes sense to me. So yin. Yin is the feminine principle. Yin is the receptive. Yin is the receiving, the welcoming, the yielding. Right? It's the concave. Beautiful. It's the way we're willing to receive, and the way we're willing to allow, and the space we're willing to hold as things unfold and unfurl, right? You can't put out there what you haven't already felt in your heart. You can't expect Mars and Uranus to shift you into something that you don't already have that yearning for, right? This is a Leo full moon. Leo knows, right? Leo knows. And in opposition to the Sun and Jupiter, not only does Leo know, but Leo knows why. And so the answer is that it's up to us to allow it to come in and to not allow our fear to get in the way of our openness, right? Don't let yourself close back up before the goodness comes, before the transformation comes, before your practice has a chance to pay off, right? Don't allow yourself to be so caught up by the waiting, by the need for patience, that you give up altogether on what you know to be true, right? Number 2, yin, the feminine principle of receptivity, letting someone else make the first move, gathering information and taking in cues, the art of conscious allowing. This is a time of calculated receptivity as you gracefully await what is coming to you, ready to accept it when it appears. Yin does not involve frozen dreams or even resting, but rather consciously allowing things to flow to you, poised to receive the bounty that will be made available. It implies sensitivity as you alertly study the actions of others and contemplate how they will affect you and yours. Remember, you must make space for miracles to appear. Be the shaped, not the shaper, and you'll see how quickly your dreams manifest. Right? Again, Mercury retrograde is coming up. You already know what you're letting go of, and you understand why. Truth and clarity is already yours. You are leaving behind all the things that suck the life out of you, and you are moving toward all the things your heart desires. Leo, full moon. Yeah. You know what it is. Just let the transition happen, right? It's going to happen anyway. It's all about what you're calling in. So be clear. You already are. Just let it happen. We will talk more before Mercury goes retrograde. That's coming up. And this full moon is your call to action, right? Your action is to act accordingly. And what does that mean? That means you already know where the divine is. Right? You know it. You feel it. It's happened. You've already made that choice in terms of clarity. What hurts and what doesn't. What fulfills your heart and what leaves you empty. Again, it does not matter what you have in the bank, because that bank, it's about what you have in your heart, right? Right. You already know. You know it. Now let it be in action. Full moon, y'all. Act accordingly. Act accordingly. You know your truth. Act accordingly. You know what the universe is offering you. Act accordingly. You might have to give some things up. That's okay. Might have to practice. That's okay. Your heart already knows. Happy full moon, guys. Act accordingly.